Our next story, and there's one other thing I want to talk to him about. I don't know how many of you have seen on your social media feeds, and I first became aware of it when I saw some of these things from Britain. A trend where people will, and it's called catfishing, or people will pretend to be underage children, particularly girls, and entrap, it would seem to me, or go out looking for people who want to form relationships with underage people, and I think we call them pedophiles or perverts, and lure them to locations, and the person who's done the setup then turns up with generally some big burly people, and they either physically attack them or they call the police, they record the whole thing, and they put the video up on social media. It's pretty brutal. And I think those things are viewed a lot of the time because everyone likes seeing a pedophile get theirs, don't they? It's a trend that I think started in the US, then went to Britain, but it seems to be coming here. And our good friend Chris Lynch from Chris Lynch Media picked up on a story of it happening in Christchurch. He joins us on the line now. Chris, tell us about the incident. And is there a name for this? Is it catfishing? Is it, I don't know, pedo baiting? What's it called?
I think they just call it pedo catches.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so tell us what happened in Christchurch.
Well, this story from Christchurch, a couple of people sent me some, it is disturbing footage of high school students. We now know the high school students were from Christchurch Boys High School. And what they did is they filmed themselves essentially physically assaulting a young man who they claim was trying to meet a 14-year-old girl for sex. So because of this, they decided to force him to eat cat food on camera and gave him a bit of a ruffle up, if you like. But what they didn't realise, what they're probably doing is actually illegal themselves because they're on film, on tape, on their cell phones, recording themselves doing this, and it really doesn't look good for them. So you could tell that they were wearing Christchurch Boys High School uniforms, so the principal eventually stood them down. He said he, takes a dim view of this type of act and says the individuals involved were simply seeking attention. And he's probably right in that respect. But having said that, I mean, look, these people were widely praised on social media for, allegedly getting a pedophile and beating him up. The problem is, though, when they get it wrong, they too can be sent to prison themselves because you've got a situation similar in Tauranga where you've got a similar vigilante group who's been doing the same sort of stuff, if not worse in some respects, depending on how you feel about this, where they will do the same thing. They will catch young men seeking sex with underage boys, allegedly, and then what they will do is not just name and shame them, but they'll make some of them strip naked. They will punch them in the face and essentially seriously assault them in some cases. The problem with that, of course, is that, I've done these sort of stories before, even in my time in Close-Up, and it did turn out that some of the alleged vigilantes were worse than the actual so-called perpetrators themselves, not just because of the crimes they were committing, but because they too were actually involved in similar action. So it's not quite as clear-cut. But the one thing, Sean, that I guess saying to your producer, this sort of seems kind of like it's the next ram raid sensation. So instead of filming yourselves doing ram raids, it's now filming yourselves punching alleged pedophiles.
Okay, and it's a trend we're seeing. I've seen these things from overseas. And I guess I've had, and I'll be honest, I now think about it, I watch them, thought, good job. But it's not really, it's vigilantism, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, as I say, they're widely praised by social media followers, and I guess that's part of the thrill, is being told that you're doing something right. The trouble is, and I did speak to one sexual abuse expert in Tauranga who said the problem with some of the people they were catching, they actually were quite mentally impaired. Not that that's to say that if you're mentally impaired, you shouldn't be trying to, hook up with an underage girl or boy. But it is very clear in some of the videos that they do look slightly, how can I put this politely, off in some respects. And and some of the vigilante behaviour where they make a rather large, overweight man stripped naked while they laugh and film him saying he's being caught.
That's just abuse, yeah.
And so in some respects, and what this expert was saying, and this is just, essentially the same as what a paedophile would do as well, it's degrading behaviour. But, as I say, they're getting a lot of praise on social media.
Yeah.
The trouble
Have police
is
said
when
anything,
something goes
Chris?
wrong.
Have police made any statement?
Yeah, police have put out a couple of weak statements, Sean. Nothing too exciting, really, just saying that they're in the early stages of their investigation. But they did say, particularly the group in Tauranga, they could expect to be held accountable for any criminal offences committed during this behaviour. I mean, in some of the videos, they punched the men in the face and kicked them in the face.
It's more than an offensive Facebook post, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, it's something. I mean, they're essentially. Look, let's face it. Everybody hates pedophiles. I mean, they're disgusting human beings, and they do require the full face of the law. But at the same time, when you've got these young men that are actively kicking and punching people in the face and filming it, no matter how you feel strongly about these sex offenders, But also the trouble is what they're doing is. They're doing entrapment, and that in itself is actually illegal. I mean, when I was on the close-up program, we actually did something similar, and there were very strict guidelines that we worked with police as to what we could say online and what we couldn't say online. And you couldn't sort of encourage people to meet up. The perpetrator had to do all that encouragement themselves.
All right. You say you couldn't be entrapment. Yeah, well, these rules wouldn't seem to apply.